Let's see if we can fix the error with our fluid connector or not. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. In previous episode, we had done almost everything that we need regarding a connector for fluid storage. However, I did want to give the users shortcut to get the amount and capacity and variant of things based on the directions or the index of their storage. We have a huge problem here. Let me explain the problem first and see if we can fix things here or not. Our storage is now a storage of type fluid variant. If I go here, you see that it's iterable of a storage view. This means that this storage can have different types of something, in this case fluids, at the same time. So we can have lava and water both in one single storage at the same time. And because it's iterable, it means that we have an iterator that we can iterate through different things. And as you see, it returns an iterator of the same storage view. When we want to insert or extract or get version or anything else, basically we have to iterate through things. And as you see, insert and extract are not being implemented here. So if I want to find the usages of this inside Fabric API, I need to generate the sources for this, or maybe if I do it right now, let's see, we have usages in import, extend, implements. Let's use the extend and implements inside here. The storage, we will see that we have a storage utils. That's not what we want. We have combine the storage and then combine the storage and bundle content storage. Let's take a look at this combine the storage, and you see that it has a combined storage of blah, blah, blah. That's where it's using it. That's not helpful, is it? Usage in dot class, that's not what we want. New anonymous, method, return, parameter declaration, local variable, field, delegates, and class static members. None of these actually will help us. Here's a question. Should I change this whole thing and go back to my notes? Because in my notes, I'm just accepting a list of single fluid storage. If I want to do that, then I would change this guy to be single fluid storage. And you see that everything should work. And then here I have this get first, okay? And it will work actually. Everything will work. However, a single fluid storage will have limitations. And that means that this fluid connector will be dedicatedly work with a single fluid storage and not a multi-fluid storage or anything like that. Also, if I take note at my read and write NBT, I'm checking that if we are instance of single fluid storage, then do things. Otherwise, we are just continuing and going to the next one. So we are actually ignoring any implementations of fluid storage that is not single fluid storage for write NBT. Because of that, we are dedicated ourselves to read and write single fluid storages, as you see here again, because if we are not single fluid storage, we will throw an exception. In my opinion, having it like what we had is something that is not really giving us the benefit of having this in this way, because guess what? We are not reading the MBT properly. We are not writing the MBT properly to utilize this flexibility. If we want to utilize this flexibility, we need to sit back and figure things to write the NBT properly and read the NBT properly. We may want to do that. Alternatively, we can change this guy from being a storage of fluid variant to be a single fluid by that. And this will solve all of our problem. But before doing it like this, let me see if we have any way of getting the storage and getting the amount without tying our hand, because later I can figure things out for reading and writing NBT, but if I limit myself, then I can't expand on it. Let's see, if I say var get storage on the direction, let's call it the storage, equals to get the storage on the direction, not to combine the storage, because combine the storage is actually something really different. We can just get the parts and then this will return a list of T again and the splitters and split iterators and things like that. That's not what we want. So get the storage. Actually, this will be what now? Type T. This will be T. Then if we want an iterator, we say var iterator equals to the storage dot iterator. And what do we have on the iterator? And iterator does have one R. The iterator has next. Let's start from top. It has equals, get class doesn't help us for each remaining, has next, next, notify, remove, remove weight. So we don't have a direct access for the very first one, Yes, we can retrieve the next, and this will be the very first one. Okay, so var, I don't know, let's call it vu, because it will be an iterator of vu. Then we should be able to say vu.getAmount and return it. So we are ignoring the rest of things in the iterator. Basically, we are retrieving the very first thing that we have in our iterator. That can work, and basically we can just combine all of these in a single line, like moving it here and then taking it, putting it there, and then cutting it and putting it there. Problem is that I'm not sure if I want to do this or not, and this will eliminate this part because we have this get storage already based on the direction and index. So I can get this, paste it there, and then do the same thing here first, and then replace the direction with the index. It will work. This will still save me from limiting myself to be a single fluid storage, at least on the retrieving part. At the same time, it will just retrieve the very first element in the iterator, and we can't go for the next ones unless we do something with the iterator. For example, let me show you an example. We know that at some point in time we had a mod that had a smeltery. What was it? Tinker's Construct. Tinker's Construct would have one type of fluid at the bottom and then another thing at top of it, and maybe another type of fluid, let's go with yellow, on top of that. When you wanted to drain this container, it would drain the top one. It wouldn't go for the other one. This is exactly what we are doing here. We are retrieving the very first element. If people would want to change the order, they would click somewhere on the UI and it would take this blue one, it would put it on the first element here, and it would take the yellow one and it would retrieve it and put it where we had clicked. This is a very complex mechanic because you need to know where you are clicking on the GUI and what is exactly under your click, anything like that. Right now I'm writing an API. If it was my own personal mod, I would definitely go with a single fluid container because in my mod I will not have any container that contains more than one type of fluid, but I'm not sure who will use this library. Here's a question. Do we have anything other than the single fluid container? Let's see. Fluid storage. We have single fluid storage, and others are just sync, that is us, output and input, that will be us, and then we have fluid storage. Now fluid storage is the base class that says the storage of fluid variant. Instead of storage of fluid variant, we may want to use fluid storage. However, here is a question. Is single fluid storage extending that? We see that the single fluid storage is extending single variant storage and not the fluid storage. And single variant storage is extending snapshot participant of resource amount. And again, not the fluid storage. The snapshot participant is part of the Fabric API that is implementing transaction. In other words, we can't use that fluid storage. However, if we take a look at fluid storage, because this is closest thing to what we have here, it has decided this will be used when we are registering the sided fluids and then nothing else, So this is not what we should extend. Single variant is not helping us. Single fluid is not helping us. So if I want to go down this road, I can actually accept it as a solution because if people want to change the order of things inside their container, it's their job of handling their GUI or any way else to change the iteration order. I'm not concerned about that. My concern is this part. If we are not a single fluid storage, do we have anything for the fluid variant codec encode? Let's take a look at that. It accepts an input and dynamic ops and then the prefix. So the input here is the get resource. In other words, we should do this. After the storage, we should say var iterator equals to storage.iterator. Then we say while iterator has next, we will do this. And here we will say iterator.next, var next equals to that. We can't do that. What are you telling me now? It says replace with enhanced for storage fluid variant. Now this is T. What's the difference here? Oh, storage view of, okay, fluid variant inside the storage. Let's call it view. Nice. We can get views. You know what? This is actually working. However, how should we retrieve it back here? Storage dot, do we have size here? Please, something like that. No. Okay, we can write to NBT like so, then use the same for loop we get this and we replace it with view. Now what? Cannot resolve amount. Okay, dot. We can't get the amount. Can we set amount? No. Oh God. Oh, it's a view. It makes sense. We can just view it. Okay, we are really limited here, isn't it? Because iterator is what? We have the iterable and iterator that returns an iterator of E. This is the storage view. And yes, storage view is just viewing. So it can extract, can insert, can get things, but can't set things directly. We are really limited here. Unless I want to do transactions each time I'm reading from MBT and somehow I just clean the storage. Do we have anything like that? Let's take a look. I highly doubt it. I mean, we can extract, we can go with insert, iterator. There is no way of cleaning the storage, you know. I can't assign a new instance dynamically because of the problems, unless I want to go into the rabbit hole of reflection, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, we are really limited to single fluid storage. Writing it is not problem. Reading is a hell. Because here's the problem. If I want to insert at the game start, that's okay because the fluid storage will be empty. But anytime in the middle of gameplay, if for whatever functionality any system in the game forces reading NBT on this storage, then I will add the amount to the previously existing amount if I used insert. Unless I want to extract it and throw it away, the amount that it has. Problem is that again, we don't know how much it has. Although the extract gives us the amount that it could extract, and I'm talking about transactions. The basic thing about transactions is that it will happen in 2 steps. Let's say that this is our container. We have 1 bucket of any fluid in there, and we are asking to extract 10 buckets. It will extract 1 bucket and return the amount that it extracted, and you can check if it's okay or not and then commit the transaction. In this case, we don't care. We just commit the transaction to empty this out and then insert the amount with the variant and everything. So this will be the fluid variant. This will be the amount. We could actually make it work. If I want to do that, I will say var amount and var variant, so that now I have the amount and variant. Try transaction, and we call it transaction equals to transaction open outer. Here we will say the storage dot extract. Problem is that we are not familiar with the size of the storage. We are not keeping it anywhere. We are giving the storage in and we are not tracking that storage. So how much should I extract? Well, let's say that we want the transaction. Actually, we want the resource. The resource is the variant. Then we want the transaction. Well, this is long dot max value possible and then the transaction. And you see that the extract returns a long, means that it could extract this amount. We don't care. Then storage dot insert the variant, the amount, the transaction, and finally transaction.commit, something like that. And it's really hacky, you know, it's a really hacky way of doing things because we are doing 1 transaction each time we are reading the NBT for something. Honestly, I'm against this. It's doable. You see that it's doable. I'm against this. I don't want to do transactions in a for loop for God knows how many times and open the door to hell having problems there. So back to the beginning of the video, we will not have this, none of that. I always say that you should look into someone that knows what he is doing. His repository, for example, Turtiworty knows what he's doing most of the time, 90% of the time. But then you shouldn't just copy paste it. You should sit back and think about it, because if we are limiting ourselves, or I should say if we want to be limited on a single fluid storage when we are reading the MBT or we are writing the MBT, so what's the point of giving flexibility on top? Get done with it. We are limited already when we are reading and writing. So what's the point of giving us flexibility when we are really not able to serialize it and deserialize it? At least, let's say that we don't want to do that. Yeah, this is our connector anyway. And you see that it fixed all the problems because now the T is a single inventory and single inventory can easily read the amount, get the capacity and get the resource. Do I want to give the ability to set the amount, capacity and variant? I don't think so. Because unless you are working internally on the block entity, you shouldn't touch the amount addition or reduction or capacity size. All of that between the blocks should happen using transactions. happens? We have two more methods, and that is these two. Let's see if this will work or not. I think in my previous try, it didn't work. What's your problem now? It should return T and not the inventory storage. There we go. I think in my previous try, it didn't work, but my fluid mod, the one that I didn't add yet, the bucket filler, is actually sided, isn't it? Because let's take a look. We are setting one direction to be down and one to be none. In other words, we are not checking the left hand, right hand, or the backhand side. Okay, that is why it didn't look familiar with the API, because yeah, if we are down, it's always down. On the other way, we are just retrieving, yeah, we are not really sided, but sided. Anyway, let's see if this will work in our game test or not later. For time being, this is our fluid connector, and this video is almost near 30 minutes, so I will stop it here, and in the next video, between the two videos actually, I have to go back and readjust all of my Maven repositories so that I don't have these errors here and here. And also one thing, we are extending the storage connector, but we are not implementing those methods here. So let's add them here. And let's see if I'm missing anything else. Yeah, get connector. I need the get connector that returns this. And it's not inventory connector. Why are you saying that it's inventory connector? Let's see. iStorage connector is returning T. Oh, yeah, because it's not inventory connector, it's fluid connector. And be careful about this guy. There we go. Between the two episodes, I will update my Maven repository on local hard drive. I will have a lot of syncings to do, and I can't unfortunately do all of them in one go because one is depending on the other one and I need to go in an order. Then we will come back and compare to our J inventory. I think we have things to do. So we covered the base, we covered the storages, the slot. I may add something to the slot. We don't have any record, we don't have a screen. Here we have two things to do, actually one thing to do, and that is the JiFluid BE. This is nothing complex. We just need a connector, and then what else? Adding the insert, adding the input, adding the output, maybe methods, and then what else? Get inventory connector. This returns the inventory. The inventory is inventory connector of type. I think I can use iStorage connector of B. Am I right? And it will be okay even if I remove the abstract because we have already has that get connector. Oh no, it's get connector. Okay, get connector that returns the inventory connector, and that is the type B. Oh wait, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Now I remember, because B is actually extending simple inventory and not the connector. This is the BE, and I don't really want to introduce another generic here to make things more confusing. This is okay. Yeah, it's okay. I will have to do something close to this guy. The thing is that the fluid connector, do I want to have a slots in it? That's something that we should debate. Let's talk about it in another video. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.